This session is really up to date. It's really important those days. Engaging India, Interactive Climate Education via the Climate Change Learning Center by Amy Bastide, Tinuola Gbadamosi. I hope I'm pronouncing the names correctly. Reyya Kalolwala. Um, Super engaged, super interesting session. I hope you will have a great time. Welcome, our speakers. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me? Okay, it's fine. Thank you. Okay, let's start. Empowering minds, protecting futures. The role of climate education in India's resilience. Good afternoon, everyone. Today we're excited to present an innovative project that aims to transform climate change education in India through interactive and accessible learning experiences. We're the Climate Change Learning Center. My name is Amy Bastide Villanueva, and my teammates are Reyya Kalolwala, Tinuola Gbadamosi, and our project mentor is Dr. Bill Whitney. Let's begin with a story to truly highlight our goal. The story of Kavya. Kavya is a 7-year-old and lives in the dry village of Moa. That morning felt normal. Her mom walked to a distant well for water, and the sun was already strong. But something was different. The mobile science lab from the August International Foundation rolled in, bringing the Climate Change Learning Center, a colorful van parked under the big banyan tree, buzzing with energy. Inside, Kavya tried hands-on kits and activities. She did simple experiments about the greenhouse effect and ocean acidification, learned the difference between the climate and weather, and explored renewable energy ideas, and even drew her favorite endangered animal. Suddenly, things made sense. Why the village pond dries up, and why the mango trees don't flower on time anymore? She asked questions, connected the dots, and saw solutions. Planting trees, solar panels, or rainwater harvesting. Walking home across the hot ground, Kavya felt different. She was not just a student anymore, she was a young climate warrior ready to act. India is the seventh most affected country by climate change in the world. Three major challenges it faces are rising sea levels. India is a peninsula, which means most of its coastal line is at sea level. As ocean levels rise, many coastal villages face the risk of being completely submerged. This is a serious problem because India's land is already a valuable resource for its rapidly growing population. Losing coastal areas to rising sea levels puts more pressure on the country's lands and resources. Then we have extreme weather. The monsoon season has become extremely unpredictable, causing periods of extreme drought or devastating floods. These floods affects production and farmers' livelihoods, especially from June to September. This, along with extreme temperatures, has hurt crop yields, which increases food insecurity in India. India's annual mean temperature has risen approximately 0.7 degrees Celsius since 1901, with 2024 being the hottest year on the record. Maximum temperatures have increased at a faster rate, making heat waves more frequent and intense. Then we have water scarcity. The melting of Himalayan glaciers and over-extraction of groundwater have led to severe water shortages. This creates serious public health issues. It is crucial for future generations to understand these challenges and be equipped with the knowledge to address them. Okay, in India, schools follow a system called the National Curriculum Framework, or NCF. The NCF is a set of educational guidelines created by the National Council of Educational Research and Training. The NCF was recently updated in 2023, and in theory, it's really good as it focuses on student-centric, holistic, and flexible curriculum. However, the NCF, like all things, has issues and become very present when the curriculum is in use. Firstly, there is an issue with over-centralized curriculum in such a large and diverse country like India. With such a large change in the recently updated NCF, there have been implementation issues with underfunded government schools facing financial difficulty operating and managing new subjects. Based on an informal survey we conducted with Indian students at Reyya University, we found that climate change is covered in school, but it is usually taught as part of broader subjects like environmental science or geography. This means it doesn't get the attention it deserves as a critical topic on its own. Another important issue we found is that climate change, like most other subjects in Indian education system, is taught through lectures. While this helps students pass exams, it doesn't really allow them to fully understand or connect with the topic in a meaningful way. Okay, the problem with lectures often require students to receive information rather than actively participate, which can lead to boredom and poor knowledge retention even when handwritten notes are taken. This passive learning through lectures goes hand in hand with lack of student engagement with the topic being taught. Through lectures, the students can get easily overwhelmed with the massive amount of information being thrown at them and also have to do the hard part of learning by themselves at home, looking over sometimes messy notes because they couldn't write as fast as the teacher was talking. And of course, lecturing has its benefits. For starters, it is time efficient and helps teachers get through the curriculum, but therefore it leaves the students feeling secondary. Overall, lectures are necessary sometimes, so the problem we're focusing on is not lectures as a whole, but overuse of lectures as the only form of education. So, how do humans learn, and why do humans need more than just lectures to do so? In reference to Kolb's framework for experiential learning, humans learn through a mix of observation, experience, and reflection. First, we have concrete experience, which is the feeling. This stage begins with a new experience. A learner immerses themselves in the situation and uses their senses to engage with it, which can involve trying a new task or performing an existing in a new way. Then we have reflecting observation, which is watching. The learner reflects on the experience from different viewpoints and they observe what happened, review their feelings, and consider what experience might mean. Then we have abstract conceptualization, which is thinking. In this stage, the learner synthesizes their observations and reflections into new ideas or theories. They use logical analysis to integrate the new information with existing knowledge and concepts. And finally, we have active experimentation, which is doing. The learner applies the new concepts to the real world to see what the modifications are needed. This involves taking action and using the new knowledge to solve problems and make decisions. The process then repeats with the outcome of the experimentation leading to new concrete experience. So overall, we tend to remember best what we actively do and see rather than what we only read or hear. Furthermore, our attention span is limited. So interactive and varied learning methods help to maintain engagement and deep understanding. So what are the advantages of interactive learning and what is the focus of both for us and our stakeholders? So, traditional learning often means listening, reading, and memorizing. But with interactive learning, children become active participants. They explore, experiment, and discover things on their own. This approach has so many advantages. First of all, it encourages them to participate because the students are actually doing activities, not just sitting and listening. Then it builds curiosity and creativity, helping them to connect with what they are learning with the real world, especially with topics like climate change. It strengthens teamwork and communication since many activities are done together. And finally, it improves attention and understanding because they experience the concepts directly. That's why interactive learning is such a great tool because it helps children to feel what they are learning. And that's exactly the idea behind the Climate Quest book, learning about climate change in a fun and hands-on way.
Augustia is a nonprofit organization that has impacted over 25 million students and 300,000 teachers across India. And by 2032, it has a goal to impact 100 million students. They do all of this through promoting learning. Especially, they focus on curiosity, creativity, and confidence. Their vision is to foster a community of innovators and problem solvers. With them as our main partnership, we will establish our climate change lab on their campus in Kuppam, India, where we will conduct workshops for students and teachers. Utilizing their mobile science labs and bikes, we will bring climate education to rural communities that lack access to formal educational resources. And lastly, we will work with their established and knowledgeable staff to create workbooks and climate kits that fit into the Indian context. The Agastya International Foundation is our main stakeholder, but there's so much more than that. For us, they are the people and the organization that will be our number one helping hand, providing materials for us to create our experiments, providing a campus where we can operate, and telling students and teachers about our learning center. Students and teachers who have the want and drive to learn about climate change and to be a future maker. The organization behind our project, the one that connects our venture Climate Change Learning Center to Agastya, is the Global Social Impact Fellowship, which is a subset of Lehigh's Creative Inquiry Office. The Global Social Impact Fellowship is 21 projects with different topics such as access to food, infant mortality, recycling sachet plastic, and more, across 4 countries: India, Kazakhstan, the Philippines, and Sierra Leone. All of these projects work to make a positive impact on the communities of these countries and work with numerous partner organizations in their specific countries. All of the Impact Fellows work not only to be a future maker, but to create future makers. Our venture, Climate Change Learning Center, understands all of the problems and wants to work to help solve all of these problems, especially of India's rapidly changing climate and students who are uninterested in climate change and unmotivated to be the future makers that their nation needs. Through Climate Change Learning Center, we aim to solve all of these problems by empowering students and teachers on the pressing issue that is climate change. Our venture is based around a learning by doing model, one that transforms climate education from abstract theory or repetitive lectures into tangible experiential learning. Instead of relying solely on classroom instruction, the program uses mobile, hands-on science, and climate labs, interactive activities, experiments and exhibits, and community-based engagement to make climate education accessible and relevant to students and teachers, especially in underserved rural areas. Our methodology includes experiential learning, where students will investigate real-world climate phenomena through experiments, model building, and local environmental observation. Mobility and access. Agastya's mobile science labs and bikes bring climate education directly to schools and communities that lack resources. This will help bridge the urban-rural education divide. Co-creation with educators. Agastya staff and ourselves work to co-develop locally contextualized curriculum and learning kits that reflect India's diverse ecosystem and climate realities. We also get immense feedback on our kits and workbooks from local teachers. Interdisciplinary design. The program integrates art, design, storytelling, and everything else to communicate complex climate concepts creatively and memorably. Scalable innovation. Learning materials and digital modules are designed for replication across states, allowing a networked model for widespread climate literacy. Overall, we work to utilize all of these elements to create a participatory ecosystem for climate learning, empowering youth not just to understand climate change, but to act on it in their communities. One main aspect of our project is developing kid-friendly climate workbooks that combine engaging activities and hands-on experiments to teach core climate concepts and sustainability practices. Designed to spark curiosity and understanding in young minds, these workbooks cover topics such as renewable energy, water conservation, waste management, and more through fun, interactive lessons. Each activity is aligned with real-world climate experiments, helping students connect their learning to everyday actions and community solutions. Each page in the workbook has either a project, instantaneous, or observation activity. Project activities are activities where students use multiple materials to create something new. Instantaneous activities refer to cut and paste or drawing. And lastly, observation activities refer to students observing the world around them and noting it down. These workbooks are an essential component of our mission. To make the Climate Quest workbook more organized and engaging, we've also added 5 cover pages, one for each main section. The 5 main sections are Understanding Our Planet's Climate, Evidence and Causes of Climate Change, How Climate Change Affects Our World, Solutions for a Brighter Future, and Taking Action and Building Resilience. Each cover helps mark the transition between sections and gives the workbook a more complete and visual structure. giving an overview of the topics that are covered. This is an example of an instantaneous activity in our workbook. It is comprised of coloring the Indian continent to showcase different environmental events, such as monsoons and droughts. When we participated in fieldwork over the summer, we discovered that many Indian students only know the landscapes of their community or their state. This activity works to help students learn more about their very large and very diverse country. Some things that this activity has, along with all styles of activities in our book, is an intro that connects the topic to everyday life in India. The intro includes characters like Pilu and Nilu, who are also students, so that the students that are doing the workbook have someone to connect to. Another thing that all of our activities have are questions to get students thinking further, as well as a cool fun fact to keep students engaged. This is an observation activity. It works to teach students about rising temperatures and how the building of cities contributes to these rising temperatures. This activity is like the others in some way, but all the questions in this activity refer the students to noting down what they are observing about their surroundings. This activity also has think and discuss questions that push the students to think past the activity and come up with their own solutions for the issue that is rising temperatures in their nation. This is an example of a project activity that has the students acquiring materials to do an experiment. The experiment that the students are doing here is to create a mini example of the greenhouse gas effect. Through making the experiment and answering questions, the students will learn how the greenhouse gas effect is something natural that keeps our Earth habitable, but also due to an excess of human activities can causing too many greenhouse gases, the greenhouse effect also leads to global warming. Like the last activity, this one also has an intro, some questions, and a fun fact, but this project activity also has materials and instructions to do the experiment.
This last activity is a mixture between a project activity and an observation activity. It has students getting materials and following instructions to create something, but also has students answering questions and noting down everything they have observed from the experiment. This is an activity that once again teaches about greenhouse gases, but more specifically how there is human technology to help capture carbon dioxide so it gets removed from our atmosphere, therefore reducing the greenhouse gas effect. There are numerous activities in our book that mixes the styles to pique students' interest even more. Furthermore, all of our activities have colorful graphics that invite students to look at the book and to do the activity. Here you can see that we decided to include a glossary at the end of the workbook. We noticed that some of the terms used in the activities like carbon dioxide, biodiversity, or deforestation might be new or confusing for children. By adding this glossary, we wanted to make sure they have quick and simple reference to understand key climate concepts. This helps them engage with the activities more confidently and makes their learning experience more meaningful. To wrap up the workbook, we included a customizable certificate that children can personalize with their name once they finish all the activities. The idea behind this is to give them a sense of achievement and recognition for their effort. It helps motivate them to keep learning and reminds them that small actions like understanding climate change can make a big difference for the planet. To make the Climate Quest workbook even more interactive, we designed a support kit with materials that children don't normally have at home. This way, students who do not have access to many materials can actually do all the activities too. The kit will allow students to experiment, explore, and truly understand what they're learning about climate change in a hands-on and exciting way. Augusta is also planning to build a climate change lab on its 172-acre campus in Kuppam, India. The project doesn't have an official date yet, but the idea is to create an interactive space where children can see and experience how climate change works. These models would be based on the workbook content. This lab will include large-scale models and hands-on exhibits that help students visualize concepts like global warming, rising sea levels, and the greenhouse effect. Through this immersive learning environment, children will be able to connect theory with real-world understanding, reinforcing what they learn in the Climate Quest workbook in a fun and memorable way. The last aspect of our venture that we are currently working on is a research paper that explores the evolving landscape of climate change education in India and the United States, focusing on how pedagogical frameworks, curriculum design, and learner engagement strategies differ across contexts with distinct social environmental challenges. While both nations are key players in global climate actions, their approaches to climate literacy, policy integration, teacher training, and community based learning reveal contrasting priorities and pathways towards empowering future generations. By comparing India's grassroots and experiential educational interventions with the US's formalized standards driven climate curricula, the paper identifies gaps and differences in how the two systems cultivate climate literacy, civic responsibility, and innovation capacity. The research highlights the potential of interactive learning ecosystems like our venture to bridge these gaps, making climate change education both localized and globalized, scientific and creative, urgent yet empowering. This project aims to create meaningful and lasting change in the community. First, we expect to see increased climate literacy among students and teachers by giving them better tools and interactive activities. They'll gain a stronger understanding of climate topics. Second, we hope to encourage greater community engagement in sustainable practices. We want students to share what they learn with their families and communities, inspiring collective action. And finally, our long term goal is to promote behavioral changes that contribute to climate resilience. By shaping habits and awareness early on, we can help communities adapt and build a more sustainable future. Thank you.
To answer a couple questions that we have in the chat, do you do partners educationally, not financially, internationally? Currently, we are only working in India, working with our main partner, Agastya International Foundation, to work with schools in India and partner up with them. Right now, we're only currently working in India, though we do plan to expand in hopefully the next 5 years.
I think there is another question for you, Mr. Reyya. How can educators effectively integrate interactive learning methods into climate education to ensure students not only understand the issues, but also feel empowered to take action? Want to respond or you want me to?
I can respond. I think for educators to effectively integrate this, they have to, Augusta International Foundation does a lot of workshops that helps teachers learn how to use interactive methods in their own classrooms. And then we want our workbooks and our kits to be implemented in classrooms so that students and teachers feel aware and both feel, they understand but are also empowered. Do you have anything else to add, Amy?
I also think that it's important what you said. And well, also we have another question in the chat that is related, which is how will the program enable the next generation to create sustainable solutions for their communities? I think this is such a good question because one of our goals is to motivate children to take action into climate change. So these activities allow them to understand what is the problem and then take action, empowering them to where they understand the problem, take action afterwards.
We have another question. How will the program empower young Nigerians to develop practical? Tinu, do you want to take this question?
I'm sure. So our project right now is focused on India students, but we're hoping to expand nationally, and some of these workbooks can be shared to other countries. But right now we're focused on India as a country.
And
we all come
from different backgrounds. Tinu is from Nigeria, Amy's from Mexico, and I'm from India. So we really work on using that global context, not only making our workbook in India currently, but hopefully to expand to Nigeria, Mexico, and more. To answer the question, that climate experience depends from person to person. How can they actually relate with others? India, since it all has types of climates available at the same time or a different place, that is one thing that we've really had a hard time trying to work out, trying to understand, because, like we mentioned multiple times, India is so diverse. And when we spoke to Indian teachers, Indian students, both in India and international students in America, we learned that they don't really know much about what's outside of their state, outside of their community. And that's something we find really popular even in America. So, one thing we're just trying to do is have activities like the coloring activity so that students can learn more about other places. And then also just for them to be aware that, maybe they want to help their community first and then help their nation later.
So there's a question in the chat that says, do you do partners educationally, not financially, internationally, meaning school to school? So our partnership is with Augusta International Foundation, which is a nonprofit organization. So we are partnering with them to create workbooks for their students. So right now our venture is not for profit, but like it's something we're open to. Is there anything you guys would like to add?
Nope, I think you got it. Other than that, if we have no more questions, we'd love for you to reach out to Lehigh Creative Inquiry. We're always looking to make more partnerships, to meet more people, especially if you come from an Indian context. We'd love to talk and we'd love to learn more to make sure that our venture can keep going.
Okay, thank you for a very interesting session. I'm sure that our attendees enjoyed it, judging by the interactions and the questions. So thank you so much for being here. It was an honor. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.